So I thank you all for coming along and making the effort. The format of today is we're going to have 4 speakers. We'll start with Raymond McCord, then Michael Monaghan, then Gary Murray. John Teggart, the empty chair, is on his way, but if he doesn't come along, we're going to prevail upon Paul Farrell to come and give his perspective from a legal point of view. You know, it's stating the obvious that the topic that we're discussing today, you know, victims, collusion and the past, is extremely controversial in terms of certainly the refusal by politicians and certain sections of our community to even countenance the idea that there was collusion between paramilitaries of whatever sort and security services. But it is important, I think, that we do provide a space for those with direct experience of these issues to have their voices heard. So I'm going to hand over now to Raymond.
The issue of collusion seems to be on one side, political politicians here. One side accepts it, another side refuses to accept it. I'm from the unionist community. I accept it, I have proof of it here. My son's murder, collusion was proven on it. The British government accepted it. The Prime Minister, the Secretary of State and the Chief Constable, and yet I can't get what would be deemed my politicians from my side of the fence, the DUP and official unions, to accept it. We had a previous event and the unionist politicians refused to accept it, even when unionist victims were speaking out about it. The politicians, first and foremost, have to put away their differences in relating to victims and victims' issues. It's not nice saying that policemen were involved and covered up in murders, but it's the truth. It's not nice saying that people whose family members who served in the forces, that people in the forces were involved in collusion and murder, but it's the truth. My son had been in the Air Force, served in the Air Force. He was no longer in the Air Force when he was murdered. My father was in the Air Force and fought in the wars, along with many other relatives. So I have no particular agenda to nail and badmouth people within the security forces. I'm saying it plain and simple because it's the truth and people need to accept that. My son was murdered by the agents of the state. It's well documented and it's proven. Mark Halleck ordered the murder. My son Willie Young, John Bond and Stephen Lowe murdered him. After the murder, the man that murdered, actually the main person in the murder was Willie Young. He was on weekend parole from prison. He got out in prison on a Friday, carried the murder out along with people on a Saturday evening. Young went back to prison on Monday. Within a short space of time, everyone knew who had carried it out. The police officers went up to the prison, CID, to question him, like they would have done with any suspect. Police officers weren't allowed into prison to question him. It's the only time that I'm aware of in the troubles, and speaking with different police officers, that the CID weren't allowed in to the Mace prison. This was the exception to the rule. The prison authorities give their version of it. Says they didn't want the police officers in case there was a riot in the prison, which was nonsense. The simple fact was, which will come out in some of the evidence I'll give you, that all the people involved in Raymond's murder were state agents. We're 20 years last November when Raymond was murdered. There's been many threats made to myself. I have some of the threat messages from the police, and every threat was taken up, took place after Good Friday Agreement. The police on the threats notified me that loyalist paramilitaries were planning to attack me. They advised me to review my security, and in 2 minutes they left me. No matter where I moved to, the UVF found out where I'd moved to. The police arrested me in a graveyard and locked me up for 3 days in Gulf Barracks Interrogation Centre. The offence they said I was committing, the reason they gave was under the Prevention of Terrorism Act. So who in the graveyard was going to kill? The 3 days, and during that time, I believe I was the only person in Gulf Barracks. Another occasion, 3 days in Castlereagh. On many occasions, a house search, a car, stop and search. Threats were made to me. We found out during the Haggerty case that Haggerty had warned the police that an attack was being planned in my house. The house was going to be destroyed with me in it. The police didn't warn me. They were prepared to let the house be attacked and myself be killed. In my son's case, Haggerty is in his debriefing told him that he'd warned the police that my son was going to be killed. What he actually said was, it's in the phone call to the police from the prison, that it was a matter of life and death. He rang his handlers. The police took upon themselves not to warn young Raymond or even come to prison or contact Haggerty to see who was going to be killed and what the rest of the information would be. So the police played God with my son's life, let him be murdered, and we're playing God with my life. There's been attempts made in my life, many attempts over the years to make a bomb, under a car booby trap bomb to blow me up. They tried to kidnap me in Belfast, they tried to get me at the house and shoot me at the house, different places. They watched me go in the graveyard to try and get me at the graveyard. This all went on. And it wasn't just that it was terrorists was doing it. The people that were doing it were in the pay of the state. And the alone report, it came out that Mark Halleck received at least £80,000 from the state, while he was involved with at least 20 murders. The police were more interested in keeping me down and persecuting me than they were looking after these killers. And it shows you that what we were saying was the truth. Because when Halleck and his team were brought down, there was no more killings by Mount Vernon, UVF. There's a document here which I want to read out. And it's a police document. It's not me saying it. It's not the other victims or Paul Farrell, my solicitor, saying it. This is coming from the police. A debrief of a source. Source C2765. And it's a detective inspector, and let's say his name, from Belfast Regional Crime Headquarters. And it says, following the debrief of C765, attached is a list of targets for murder in the 3rd Battalion UVF, Shore Road, Belfast. And there's a list of targets, 20 targets. Some of these people were murdered. And one of the targets that were going to kill at that time was Gary Haggerty. And the UVF were going to kill him because he was a police informant. So rather than kill him, the Chief of Staff of the UVF appointed him Brigadier of all South East Antrim. Now if that's not collusion, the start of it, what is? But the document goes on. All targets have been identified to Regional Intelligence Unit, and persons named and identified have been warned and advised. Also, C2765 provides intelligence and gives detailed information, not just information, detailed information in relating to the following 8 murders. Sean McKenna, the 17th of 1st 1993 at Shore Road. Dowes de McGowan, the 30th of the 8th 93, Fort William Park. Convy Fox, 17th of 5th 94, Mount Collier Street, Belfast. McParlin, 17th of 2nd 94 at Scagney Avenue. Malloy, 10th of 8th 96, Antrim Road. Brady, 17th of 6th 94, Blackthorn Park, Carrickfergus. Shepherd, 21st of 3rd 96 at Tower Ballymena. A CID 50 in relation to each murder is attached and numbered. All information has been debriefed to the Regional Intelligence Unit. Then it goes on about attempted murders. No one was charged with any of these murders. The families were told they didn't have information. Joe Conway sitting here the day his son was murdered told Joe Conway's family and the Fox family they didn't know who done these murders until Haggerty was given his debriefing. Joe can confirm that because I was at a meeting with Joe. And there in 97 we had all the information. Now, our politicians from the unionist side say there's no such thing as collusion. It was a bigger picture. That document says different. Quite clearly says it, there is collusion and it's still going on. There's other documents here, right? And the agent mechanic gave a full account of all the murders carried out by Haddock and Haggerty and Mount Vernon UVF before being relocated to the mainland. Mechanic told his handler that Gary Haggerty shot Sean McParlin in the neck. Yeah, the police says didn't know. These are police documents written by policemen. It goes on, it talks about the Gary Convey and Eamon Fox shot dead. He's a mechanic, give the information on that too. Goes on, the document related to the murder of Sean McParlin was passed on to senior police and all the intelligence from Mark Haddock. Mark Haddock talks about the Sean McKenna murder. And he says that the first he knew about the murder when the target, Sean McKenna, was pointed to him. Haddock also said that Willie Young, who murdered my son, was one of the gunmen. This was 4 years before my son was murdered. Haddock said he was the second gunman, and Willie Glendenning, another special branch agent, was a driver. The detective sergeant put it to Haddock that Haddock had been the gunman who murdered Sean McKenna. Haddock denied this, saying he was the second gunman. The detective sergeant also told Haddock he'd be arrested in a short time. The meeting was recorded by the detective sergeant in his police journal. It was also recorded that the fact that Haddock had admitted his own involvement in the murder. The journal was given to the police ombudsman. The document confirms that the meeting lasted roughly 7 minutes. The two detectives drove to see a detective superintendent, Castlereagh, and they told this detective superintendent they met Haddock, and he told us he was the second gunman. And this is amazing. Detective superintendent told us that he had already spoken to Special Branch, and Mark Haddock was in fact the gunman who murdered Sean McKenna. Haddock would be arrested to keep everyone right, but Special Branch feared he would admit the murder because he was so low. Detective Superintendent said that Special Branch could not afford to lose Haddock as he was the most senior important intelligence asset in Mount Vernon UVF. The superintendent told the two police officers that they were the interview Haddock, they were his handlers, about the murder of Sean McKenna with two other CID officers who would know nothing about Haddock's position as an agent. The detective superintendent told the two detectives that they were to give Haddock a shoulder to cry on and make sure he was not to admit the murder. It goes on to another case, the Gerard Brady murder. Gerard Brady picked up two men in Antrim and took them to Carrick, where he was shot in the head and died. Mark Haddock, at a joint meeting with Special Branch Detective Sergeant and another detective, told us that the gunman was, and again I can't say his name because there's an oncoming trial, told him who the gunman was. Haddock says the gunman had used a semi-automatic pistol to shoot the driver in the head. He further stated as Smith was shooting the gun, the empty cases from the gun ejected out of his hand, hitting Haddock in the hand and burning it. This information again was passed to the same detective superintendent. The detective says he hadn't sit in a car with these killers. The same detective superintendent and the chief inspector was told all about the murder. It goes on, given the rank and name of senior detectives, both Special Branch and CID were made aware of these murders. So all through it, all these murders being carried out by Mount Vernon UVF, the police were aware of it. They were aware who was doing the killing. They were aware of the cover-ups. They were aware that CID weren't allowed to go into a prison to question killers. The people that were covering up weren't the constables. Haddock's handlers, main handler was a detective sergeant in the Special Branch, who I can't name, obviously. From him to the rank of assistant chief constables, it was cover up. We wonder why there's so many delays in court cases. There's your answer. We wonder why they won't give money for legacy cases from Stormont. There's your answer there too. Families are left to fight a system which is heavily stacked against them. We hear appeals made by Retired Police Officers Association, and they're entitled to appeal. But for me, personally, the appeal is to help cover up. Officers refuse to cooperate with the Police Ombudsman's office, and yet they ask people to come forward for information in murder inquiries. These documents show they've got the information. When you have a serial killer like Mark Haddock, who's admitting the murders, sitting in the car with his handlers, admitting being there when other murders have taken place, naming the killers, you have another agent, Agent Mechanic, at his debriefing, gives all the information he has there, including 8 murders, and no one gets charged. And at times no one's even arrested. We must ask ourselves, what type of justice system do we have here? In fact, do we have a justice system? Our politicians are more content on scoring points. They get people as Irish Language Act or parades. It makes no difference to me. I don't care about them. Whether I have one or don't have one, or the parades or don't have parades. But I care about getting justice for my son. The state has done everything they can to stop myself getting justice. We've met people who were in the proper jobs, who've seen files, who's informed me and my solicitor that all through this, Special Branch officers were bad-mouthing me as if I was the criminal. Even, we'll go back as far as the Pat Finucane murder. there's information here of Ken Barrett admitting to his handlers in the car to the Pat Barrett murder, and nothing was done about it. The Pat Finnegan murder, nothing was done about it. They covered up on that too. So when police officers tell you, anyone that's in this room, that there was no collusion, do you remember what these documents said? Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, Raymond. We'll call upon Michael.
Well done, Raymond. Thank you very much for inviting me today. I was here as a guest myself, but through the bad weather, there was a couple of speakers couldn't make it today, so Raymond asked me to speak. I'm from the nationalist community. I've known Raymond a long time, since these cases have been reopened. And what Raymond's saying, the same as I'm saying, there's both sides of the community here today, Catholics and Protestants. And all they want is their loved ones and their justice for their loved ones. It was 1994. I've lived in Skagany Lebanon for approximately 7 years. I trained in the Grove Leisure Centre, which was on the Shore Road. My family has mixed marriages, and the day after New Year's Day in '94, policeman knocks on my door and asks me, would your wife like to hear this? Thinking that somebody had died out of my family. We've reason to believe you're on the hit list of loyalist paramilitaries. Which I asked the questions to myself. Why would I be in the hit list of loyalist paramilitaries when I wasn't involved in paramilitaries or anything else? So I was told to go down to the police station, where a stout CID member came out, and he must have had a liquid lunch, because he could smell the alcohol off him very strongly. He told me to check underneath my car, put security on my door, and just check every night. I asked my wife, what should we do? Should we move? The police just told me, you'll be alright, we're getting plenty of bogus calls. 6 weeks later, it was on Thursday night, the 17th of February '94. And I remember it well, because it was the only night I was meant to be in the house. I was taxing for cedar cabs. I worked 6 nights a week for my young family. And a friend of mine, a Protestant friend of mine across the road, he dealt in cars and he says, there's 2 VIP tickets to the motor show in the King's Hall, would you like to go along to it? I said to the wife, why don't we go? I love motors, I love my cars. I was a fitness fanatic, primarily drunk. So we changed minds, we did go to it. We got Sinead's father over, my wife. She came over to it, or sorry, her father came over to it, to the house. And we says, we'll go to the motor show and we'll call back. We got him a few cans of beer, his cigarettes. He sat in the house with my grandchildren watching a Disney film, because I bought it for them for Christmas. It was Aladdin. I would like to ask these people who murdered my father-in-law and tried to murder me, would they like it if they were sitting in their house with their grandchildren and being set up for murder? These people, as Raymond says, played God with our lives. The police were meant to protect us. They should have moved me and my family. I've a son went to Australia for 7 years. He's home at the minute. He's thinking to come back again. I have 5 young grandkids now, and I want to see them go on. Gary Haggerty, Mark Haddock, the whole Mount Vernon UVF, they were all paid informants, hundreds and hundreds of £1,000s. They directed terrorism, drugs, bombings, everything. I'm here today for both sides of the community, to show that I'm not bitter in any way, the same as Raymond and the audience too are not bitter. And if we don't get justice one way or another, how are we going to get justice? The public prosecution has the evidence, and they won't let us get it. They led us up the garden path there for 6 years. We went into court, listened to the details of Gary Haggerty, reading out how he murdered people, how he beat people to death, especially the Harbison murder too. All the murders, bones broke, everything. Did these people get a thrill out of this? In my eyes is, justice should be justice. And I want to see everyone who's involved in the murders to be questioned and get a fair trial as well, but be brought to justice. My family carries on. My wife's not well. She's went through depression and everything. She's had a back operation. She couldn't make it with a bad weather. And there's times she has good days, bad days. When she heard that verdict in that court, she was completely disgusted. We knew the verdict, we knew the cover up, but to hear it from the system, are we ever going to get justice? And I know my family will fight for justice, like other families in your communities and all too. There's people's been put out of their own areas, people's had to move back into their own areas. I moved to Skaggan 11 when I was 21 years of age because the houses were cheaper. A mixed community. As I say, my families are married, mixed marriages. We came from a boxing family, world champions, Rinty Mahan. We were never involved in politics or anything else. And I just like the people, and I think he's coming along. I know the weather has been very bad. And I thank Raymond for fighting me. And there's people in the audience I've met too. As I said, I'll answer any questions for you. But if we don't stick together as one, it can't be one-sided. We're never going to get the truth. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. Gary, would you like to come on?
Thank you for that, Michael. I'm here today because 25 years ago, my little sister was killed in the Shankill Road bomb, as when we were out shopping on a normal Saturday afternoon. And there was myself, my mother's boyfriend, and my sister, and we were just on our normal day, and we crossed the road. They went into the one shop. I decided not to go in. My mum went into the shop next door, and then my sister went into the fish shop. So I decided just to know I didn't want anything. I was going to leave them. So I was walking up the road, up the Shankill Road, and the next thing you know, right behind me, boom. I turned around, looked down, couldn't see them. Too many people screaming, shouting. It's just really bad to even look at, like. I ran down. My first instinct was to look for my sister, my mum. My mum came out of the shop next door, thank God. I'm lucky I didn't collapse on top of them, otherwise I would have lost all three of them on the same day. And the only thing I could do was dig and look for my sister in the rubble. And couldn't find her, couldn't find my mum. So my mate turned around, he ran down as well, and he got a hold of me. My mum wasn't there at that point. The police had took her away and took her down to the Mater Hospital, to where we heard that the victims of the bomb were heading to straight away. So my mate Stephen got a hold of me, got me into the car, rushed me down to, because I couldn't do nothing. You know, I was only 15 at the time. Rushed me down to the Mater Hospital. My mum came out of the Mater, started screaming, just turned around and went, Leanne's missing. So I says to her, right, I'm heading back up. I'm heading back down to the bomb site, I have to find her. So the police decided to take my mum by escort over every hospital around Belfast, around Royal Victoria Hospital. She wasn't there. They couldn't find her. So by that time I was down in the bomb site again, and I was still digging, looking for her. Couldn't find her. So then a couple of my family members turned up and a few more friends and turned and grabbed a hold of me and literally dragged me away from it, up to the house. Now I only lived not even half a mile away from it, from where it happened. I lived in Savio Street. So they got me into the house and they made me sit there and wait the news. But I couldn't wait, you know, and just kept wondering what was going on. And the next thing you know, I can just remember looking out the door and seeing my mum getting out of the car. And just turning around looking at me and going, like, and she just screamed. She wasn't the only one. She fainted. We had to pick her up. Got her into the house, into my uncle's house, and it was just pandemonium that day. But a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, it was brought out in the media, in the Irish news, that there was a big collusion story behind it. So for the first time in over 20 odd years, I decided to get in contact with all the Shankill bomb families to get them together to try and investigate all this. We met with all the big political parties, DUP, SDLP, Ulster Unionists, all of them, on the Shankill Road. None of them can give us any answers. No answers at all. We met up with the police, George Hamlin, police constable, top dog. Shankill families all there together. Couldn't give us no answers. You know? So once we heard that there was a fella that knew within the IRA, and he told the police where the bomb was actually going to happen, what time meant, when and where. So my question is now to the players, to George Hamlin, could they have prevented it? Could they have prevented it? They turned around and told me it's going to be 5 years from the police ombudsman by the time I get my report back. And that was only a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And I'm still waiting. So once that story came out, I couldn't take it. I lost it. Wasn't too well for a while. I've now been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder because of the head of it all. But as far as the police and Stormont are concerned, and as Raymond turned and says with legacy issues and stuff like that there, all the victims are still waiting. And the problem is, they're all getting older and they're all dying off. So what else are they going to do? I'm urging Stormont now to hurry up and do something about it, because the victims can't wait around any longer. It's bad for them, like. Well, anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you, Gary. As John Taggart clearly can't... we'll have Paul Farrell to come and offer his view in terms of his legal perspective on this.
Oh, John Taggart, I wish you well. Thanks very much, and first of all, I'm extremely humbled to have an opportunity to say a few words, because I've known Raymond now for an awful long time, 25 years almost, and I suppose the title of today's event is Victims Collusion in the Past, and I suppose Raymond is the victim who I've been closest to over these 25 odd years. I do see one or two others here today that I'm familiar with as well, but in many ways, Raymond has led a one-man crusade. He has swum against the Sea of Treacle. He has overcome many obstacles and many hurdles on his journey for what he calls his quest for justice for Raymond. And every time we get a knockback or a setback or something just doesn't go the way we had hoped that it may have went, Raymond very stoically always looks at me with a glint in his eye, and he clenches his fist and he says, "We'll get them, Paul, we'll get them." And it's kind of become a mantra for Raymond, because every time that something happens and every time that there's a setback, I don't really lose confidence in what we're all about, and I don't really get disheartened by it, because Raymond's there behind me and I can always see him in my mind's eye when he's not there. And sometimes, and I do tease him sometimes, he gives me a lot of homework to do on occasion, and I'd be working away in the wee small hours, but when I'm in those situations, and when I've got people telling me to go to bed and things like that there, I always remember Raymond in the background, you know, we'll get them, we'll get there, Paul, we'll get there. But it's through his commitment to the whole desire, and his desire to get justice and to see those who are responsible for the murder of his death receive justice and to be put behind bars. And it's because of his grit and determination that he's here where we are today, and that he's got so much support. And I keep saying that as well to Raymond, that the court of public opinion, if such a thing exists, always gives him a verdict and always says that he's in the right. But unfortunately, it's just been difficult to get the answers that we're trying to get. And it all started a long time ago, 20 odd years ago now, when Raymond came in initially and at the start of this whole thing, and just had concerns about the police investigation. And like every father, wanted to know more about the circumstances of his son's death, but also more importantly, what action the police were taking to arrest, detain and prosecute the perpetrators. Little did we know that those concerns raised at that time would lead to a police ombudsman's investigation, a Herculean undertaking by Dame Nuala O'Lone, which came out with the result that we expected and that we anticipated, and it was one of our highest points in this journey, and that was a positive finding of collusion. And it's hard to describe the euphoria that we felt then, because we thought that would have streamlined things. We thought that would have made things simple. We thought that would have made those that were responsible for these heinous crimes to come forward, to purge their souls and to be put through the criminal justice system. And Nuala O'Lone's report was a long time ago, and the years have gone in, and in many ways we're no further on, and the disappointment of being no further on after such a long time is magnified because Raymond had to do a bit of thinking as to what faith he put in the public prosecution service, what trust he had in their investigative powers, what reliability he could put on the Ombudsman's investigation that referred a number of concerns that had been uncovered by the Police Ombudsman's Office in relation to the actions and the activities of police officers, special branch officers. So we never knew that report would take us on the journey that it did. But now, so long after the event, and somebody made reference to the fact earlier on, we're all getting older. Raymond and I both need glasses to read now, and we're starting to feel the fatigue of age coming about us, because we invested years and years of trust and hope in the public prosecution service, that they would come up with a result, and that there would be prosecutions coming forward in relation to the assisting offender evidence of Gary Haggerty. And the effect of that confidence, or that hope that we had in the public prosecution service, was quite dramatic on Raymond, because we couldn't allow his son's inquest to take place in advance of the outcome of the criminal process being complete. And the reason for that is that there would be matters within the criminal process which would be tainted, they would be prejudiced, they would be undermined with any evidence that might come out in an inquest. And it might then affect the ability, as Raymond says, to get justice. So we waited many, many years, and it's a matter of public record, and in fact some of you others here today will have been disappointed to have received notification from the Public Prosecution Service not that long ago that out of all the information that Mr. Haggerty gave to police, out of years of debriefing, out of millions of pounds spent encouraging this individual to purge his soul, we found that the result of that was minimal. One prosecution, one case going forward out of the hundreds that no doubt he would have referred to in passing, and that's really disappointing. And it unfortunately has created another delay for Mr. McCord, another delay for Raymond, another setback, because we still have no date for an inquest. And we've been to the inquest court. I could go off on all sorts of tangents because I've nothing prepared, so be warned, I could talk all night, but I won't. But as part of that process of parking up the inquest, the other thing that had to be protected was the sanctity of any documents. Any documents that would have been relied on in relation to the criminal prosecution had to be kept tight, had to be kept protected for the criminal process to have any real effect. But by doing that, by leaving those notes beyond our grasp, beyond our reach, it means then that the inquest is parked up. Now we have made indications to the court that we want disclosure of material that could be released at this stage. But again, that's even if that starts tomorrow, it's going to take a long, long time. And my fear is that the delay in these cases, which is it's common to every single one of you guys here today that are victims and have been enduring this for the last God knows how long, decades and decades and decades. The bad news is that you know, we're no further through this, and delay might continue to be a consideration, and the cost. You'll probably hear that more and more now as well. The cost of disclosing these material, and what the financial implications of having people to go up to the storage rooms and manually go through millions of documents, so that those documents can be redacted, blacked out, and to ensure that there's no prejudice caused to any future criminal trial. But are we not at the stage now, guys, where, in all reality, what are the hopes of criminal prosecutions? You know? And should we not just get on with this disclosure process and just get whatever material that we have, or that the police have and that are holding, get it out into the public domain, and just let's deal with this thing? Because unfortunately, the victims aren't going away, but they are passing away. And the more time that goes on, the less likelihood that these people will get justice takes place. So in many ways, the legal, you know, the legal news that isn't good. I can't say to you that things are going to change tomorrow morning. No, they're not. And there doesn't seem to be a policy shift in the powers that be, whether they be back corridors or assemblies or House of Commons committee rooms or wherever the case may be. But there doesn't seem to be any political will or desire to assist victims. And if anything, what I fear most is that in a post-Brexit situation, I doubt very much that we'll have a Human Rights Act to protect us. There may be further derogations of the British government from the European Convention. If that takes place, that you know, it could be very hopeless. And we all could get very downbeat, and we all could get very depressed. But do you know what? To come back to what I started off saying, even when those thoughts pass my mind, I keep thinking of this man saying, with his clenched fist, "We'll get them, Paul. One day we'll get them." And do you know what? We will, and I hope we all live to see that day. But who knows? Thank you very much.